to our channel. Well, it is now the middle of August in the central upper peninsula. We've been out running dogs on birds, doing fairly well. Had a great training afternoon yesterday. Looking forward to another one today. Kind of sitting out a monsoon this morning where we got a little bit of rain and a whole lot of wind. But the temperatures are hovering right around 60, so it's going to end up being a good afternoon. Not all that bad, though. It allows our dogs to rest a little bit. And speaking of rest, one of the things that I'd like to talk to you about today is rest and recovery of your animals. I think it's extremely important that we consider that and work that into our routine. I think most people probably have one or two dogs. You understand what I'm talking about in that you can't overdo it with those dogs. It leads to injury, it leads to fatigue, and it leads to technically what could be a really, really bad hunting season because you could be without your partner due to a failed recovery attempt or running them too much. One of the things that I did back in the day when I only had two dogs, and let's consider this though as well. Okay, this is making the assumption that back in the day, and I did, those dogs were well exercised, they were well fed on a nutritious food, and they were roded and they were conditioned prior to the hunting season, because that makes a big difference too. You got to have them ready for the hunting season. Once you've done all of that stuff and you get into hunting season, so one of the things I used to do when I had two dogs there is I used to feed a supplement afterwards. Again, they were conditioned going into the season, but hunting those two dogs, they get quite wore out, and we would do some time management and we'd also feed them a supplement. Well, they stopped making that supplement after a while. That was actually the Purina Pro Plan made these energy bars. Those things were great. They worked wonders for dogs, and then they went away. And then we found Animate Glycocharge worked tremendously great for my dogs. And we used that for a number of years. It's still available. It's a great product. And then I grew my kennel to, 7, 8 dogs. And one of the things you'll find out when you grow your kennel is you are no longer buying Heartgard, you're buying ivermectin, and you're learning how to use that to do the same thing that Heartgard does, and so on and so forth, because you could end up being dog poor in a real hurry. So one of the things we did is we went out and researched and came up with our own concoction for recovery. And my disclaimer here is that I'm not a vet. I'm not a dog nutritionist. If you use this and something happens to your dog, it's on you. I just have to clarify that in a litigious society. But this has worked for us. Again, I'm not a vet. I'm not a nutritionist. Use at your own risk, but it has worked for us. And so for my recovery options for my dogs, what we've used probably about the past, I want to say 7 years or so now, is we get a high quality maltodextrin. This is Carbogain. I think it's about $29.99 or so for 30 or 8 pounds of this. And then I get liver powder, and I don't have the actual container for the liver powder. I mean, I have a remnant of it because I bought it online and it came, but we get 1 pound. There's no particular beef liver powder. You can beef liver powder, chicken liver, poultry liver powder, whatever it may be. You just want to get something that gives a little bit of flavor. And I find that 1 pound of this stuff generally mixes really well with the 8 pounds of the maltodextrin Carbogain. And you mix, and again, this is just for flavor, but this maltodextrin aids in recovery. Generally what I do is mix about a half cup of this with a pint of water, one of those larger water bottles. Most of you bird dog guys are probably IPA guys, so you got a pint glass, right? You know what I'm talking about. But you mix that together, and the key is you have to give it to your dogs within 20 minutes of exercise. So I have this pre-mixed. I carry it out in the field in a separate container. It'll have a little scoop in it. When we get done running, I will take a half a cup of this, put it in a water bottle, mix it with water, shake it up, make sure it's mixed real well. I put it in a bowl on the ground, and I'm telling you, probably because of the liver flavoring, my dogs soak it right up. And this really, really does aid in their recovery. I believe the maltodextrin replaces lost glycogen, which is what all the other products do. And if you do this method here, somewhere along the lines of replacing 60% of the lost glycogen within a reasonable time frame, like within overnight, and it aids in their recovery. Now the key is, though, you have to give it within 20 minutes of exercise. So usually after a hunt, come back, like I said, mix it, drop it on the ground, let the dogs drink it up, and then put them back in the crate and let them rest for a while, because you don't want them to burn up what they put into their body to replace. And that, again, works really, really well. So that's Carbogain and liver powder. Or if you don't want to monkey around with this and mix it for yourself, there are other products out there like Animet Glycocharge that works just as well. Honestly, full disclaimer, I use this because I have a lot of dogs, and it's cheaper for me to do this than to go out and buy the tub of the other stuff. So that's really what we use to aid in recovery. But circling back to the beginning part, I cannot emphasize enough that you need to have your dog out there now. You need to be roading your dog. You need to start getting its weight down if it's got the summer weight on it. You need to get that summer weight off of them. You need to start getting them lean and getting them in shape. Some of you guys that switch food, hopefully you switch food already, because technically it takes 4 to 6 months for the dogs to transition from the maintenance food to the hunting food. Not a lot of guys know that, which is why we feed the hunting food year round and then just vary the levels on it. But the preparation is really what gets you to the point where a dog will be able to recover later on. But you know, I've been there, had only 1 or 2 dogs, loved hunting, you know, tried not to push them too hard, but made sure that if we were on a week-long trip, they were ready to go beforehand. And then while we were there, we supplemented them, and they were able to make it through the trip and not be so sore, and it really, really aided in their recovery. So that's kind of like my tip of the day while we're waiting for the rain to pass here. Stay tuned to our channel. Please give us a like and subscribe. We got more good stuff coming up. One of the next things I'm going to do is I will be reviewing the Pike Gear Garmin Alpha holster, which is really, really cool. We had our Bonanza Bonanza. Brett came up here, and I picked up one of these off of him, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that. So I hope this helps you, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.